Hey, good morning, girls. Happy Monday. We are off to the second week of 2017 and just plowing through the winter storms and everything. So I actually was sitting here cracking up this morning as the news forecaster says, what do you say? We're not going to get much. We're going to be lucky if we hit 32 today. So he says, now just be careful on the roads and don't take them back roads. Stay on the main ones because we have a lot of ice on the grounds right now. And the funny part is a lot of us are in the back roads. We're a distance from the main road. So that just was kind of funny to me. I thought, well, how am I supposed to get to the main road aside from my back road? But it's actually been pretty cool. We've had a lot of our 4x trucks out here trying to break up the ground and make it a little bit safer for us. So I'm going to hope our connection is good. I'm having some technical problems with the phone. They did an update, and of course we know when they update our technology, it usually breaks it. So that's what we're dealing with today. So our topic this morning is about being comfortable. And sometimes comfort is a good thing, but in our walk it's not. So, and that all spurred this morning because, we wake up and it's 10 degrees outside, and some of you are in negative temperatures, and I don't know how you do it, but I think anything past a certain temperature is, why bother? It's like the heat. Once you hit the 90s, what does it matter to go to 100? And that's kind of like what we were when we would be in Riverside and we'd hit, they'd be like, oh my gosh, they're at 112. And we're like, is that any different than we were yesterday at 99? Seriously. But we're talking about being comfortable today as a Christian. And I've got a couple of examples for you, but I want to kind of share that this all started this morning because I was quite comfortable tucked in. I have an electric blanket. I was warm. I was toasty. The house was chilly because, see, we don't run the furnace at night. We just basically bundle up and stay warm. And, of course, my husband likes to leave a window open with the fan because he likes the subarctic. So I was comfortable. I was warm. I was toasty. And all of a sudden, the puppy started screaming because she was ready to get up. And then Mama wasn't. And see, I was reminded that our walks are quite the same way. We get real comfortable where we're at. It's warm, it's toasty, it's nice. That we really don't want to step out into those areas that God may be calling you to. We also know that we get complacent or comfortable in our walk. And maybe we aren't doing what we used to do to grow. We're at a point in our walk where it's possible that we're sitting there going, I'm good right where I'm at. But God wants us to keep growing. He wants us to keep moving. So what happens as a Christian when we become complacent? What happens to our walk? What happens to our ministries? And that's what we're looking at today. And I have an example here. I have some roses my husband gave me for our anniversary last week. And they ran out of water just because I wasn't watching them. And, we took time off yesterday, and I have the roses as you see in the office. So I had to trim them up this morning and get them water. But it became a good visual as to being comfortable as a Christian as well. See, what happens as a Christian, we go about our life doing what we were doing. We stop getting into the Word. We stop spending time in prayer with God. We stop going to church just because it's too cold, it's too windy, it's too early, it's something. There's always an excuse. And we've all been there. But what happens is that as a Christian, we start off as a beautiful, God's got us as a beautiful rose, Beautiful and fragrant as God sees us here. The stem's got thorns, which is our trials that we come through. And it's very turgid, right? So it's a strong stem. But what happens when we start to decide that, yes, we're a Christian, but I don't need to be in the Word. I don't need to be in prayer. I don't need to be in fellowship. I don't need to worship. I just know I've been saved and that's it. Well, yeah, that's fine. Because God doesn't say your salvation depends on how you grow as a Christian. Your salvation is based off of faith and that commitment to Christ, right? But in order to thrive as a woman of God, we have to be bringing the Word in. We have to be praying, which is our talking to God. We need to be worshiping Him. We need to be in fellowship. We need to be growing. Because see what happens to us as a Christian woman who no longer is striving to grow and build on what she already has. Because see, somebody can say, I've read the Bible, why do I need to read it again? Because if you read it today, it's going to give you one message, where if you read it tomorrow, maybe you're at a different place. So you could read the same verse year after year after year, and it's going to mean something different to you personally. We also know that the Bible commands us to be in fellowship. And what happens to a woman of God who is no longer plugged in, who is not growing, whether it means you're going to a Sunday school class on top of church, or you're going to a women's Bible study, or a couples Bible study, a little church, where you do the home Bible studies with the group, that type of thing. If you are not growing and plugging in, this is what we become. I don't know if you can see the detail here on the stem, but it's wrinkled. It's shriveled up. It's limp. This beautiful rose that is you and I, without the living water, becomes limp, becomes weak, becomes exhausted, becomes burned out, becomes that salt that sits on the shelf and loses its flavor. Girls, every place, if you do a word search in the Bible, and you do it on blueletterbible.org, or if you want to use your concordance, or whatever you want to do, the word complacent in the Bible is negative. It talks about, and I'm going to look at the screen here because I've got a couple of verses out of Isaiah pulled up, but God talks about complacent women will be troubled. They will fail. Gathering will not come. That one's troubled too. So he talks about the fact that you can't thrive as a woman of God if you are complacent, if you are comfortable. What excuses have you been using to not plug into something? Now, I understand you can't go to study, you can't go to church if the roads are dangerous. Totally agree. Because we've got to be wise about it too. But on a beautiful day, when you decide that you're not going to start your day with God, or you're not going to go to church, or you're not going to go to a Bible study, and you're just not plugged into God, that's when we become complacent. That's when, girls, we go from a beautiful rose that is strong to this, to where we're shriveled, we're weak, we've lost our strength, our focus, our endurance, our drive. Are you comfortable where you're at? Have you decided that you're too busy to invest in what God has for you? Have you decided that there's too many other things going on that you can't invest in more time to grow you as a Christian woman of God. Girls, we can't do that. And what I'm going to tell you right now, because I had to tell myself the same thing. And you know, I don't bring you stuff that I don't follow. It's about your priorities. What are your priorities? What is it that is holding priority, place one, in your day over that time with God? For me this morning, my priority was staying bundled up and warm. But the choice I made was to get up and start my day with God. We have choices. Oh, I'd rather go shopping. Yeah, so would I. But girls, we have to invest and put things in priority to thrive. I see far too many of you that walk around with your head down, that you're overwhelmed, that you're stressed out, that you're constantly getting sick. It's about our priorities. We've got to put things in order. We've got to bring ourself in order so that we can put our house in order, so we can put our ministry in order. But it starts with God. Are you comfortable being the way you are now? Are you comfortable to the fact that you don't see that urgency to spend that time? It's time for us to wake up. And it's time for us, and one of the words I wrote down from our service yesterday with our pastor, and it was one of the worship songs we were singing, is we need to be unshakable and unstoppable through Jesus Christ. How can we be that if we're too comfortable to prioritize our days and put God in the lead? Some people say that God is their co-pilot in their car. No, honey, he's not. God needs to be your pilot. Stop leading him around because he's not doing it. God doesn't sit there and say, yeah, you tell me where you need to go. God says, Robin, this is where we're going. God is our pilot. And we need to want to move more towards him. We need to want to invest our time and our energy. Putting our priorities straight in our day, girls. Where is God in your priorities? Are you comfortable in that warm, toasty blanket? So comfortable that you're not willing to get up and do what God wants us to do? That was a hard struggle this morning. It really was. Even knowing the difference between getting up and being there with God and choosing to stay bundled up. It's about choices, girls. But if we're comfortable where we're at, we become complacent. And according to the Bible, if you're a complacent woman, you are troubled and you will fail. And that's all out of Isaiah. It's telling us that. There's other places in the Bible that it's mentioned as well. So my question for you this morning, which rose would you rather be? Would you rather be this beautiful rose that God has created you to be, strong, determined, moving forward, unstoppable, unshakable? Or are you the woman that started to get comfortable where she was at, had her priorities out of order, did not have time to grow with God? Which one are you? Which one will you choose today? I'll tell you this much, girls, I'm choosing this one. I want to be a woman of God that is unshakable and unstoppable. I do not want to be a woman of God that is weak and listless. I don't want to be a woman of God that is troubled and failing. I want to be a woman of God that'll thrive. So what do you want? What are you willing to do today to change what you've been doing? What are you willing to do today to reevaluate where you've been this past year? I get we're busy. I get it, girls. We all are. We live in a day and an age in a world where everything has got to be done now. But the truth is, it does not have to be done now. It's about our priorities. Don't get comfortable and complacent where you're at. Don't be troubled because you're stuck. It's time for you to step up. Cling on to God. Let Him lead you and guide you. Look at your priorities in your day. Put God first. Stop being comfortable. Because all that comfortable did this morning was keep me warm and toasty. But once I got up, turned on the furnace, started moving around a little, I was good. But I had to make that choice to get up. You and I both, each day, make conscious choices to which roads we're going to be. Do you want to be comfortable and complacent and be troubled and fail? Or do you want to be strong, challenged, encouraged, fearless? Fearless. I love that word. Fearless. Woman of God. That again is unstoppable and unshakable for the things of God. Where will you find yourself today, girls? So there's my challenge. Being comfortable is good when you're trying to bundle up and have a good night. Being comfortable is not good in your walk, because that means that you're not moving forward with Christ. That means that you're okay with the mediocre and the fact that, oh, I'm saved, that's all that matters. See, I'm not satisfied with that, because God has given me so much, done so much in my life, that I want to give Him more. I want to share with you ladies how much more God does for us when we commit to Him. Where can you grow this year? What can you change in your routine? What can you adjust and tweak? Are you going to church? Are you in fellowship? Are you doing a women's study or a couple study or a home study of some kind with other people? Because God calls us to gather together. He does not say, go be an island somewhere. Even though it's safer as an island. Because some of these people are pretty mean out there. And even some of these folks that call themselves Christians. Nasty. But don't let them be the ones that stop you from thriving. You are better than that. God has called you to thrive and get out of that comfort zone and be a woman on fire for Him. Who's willing to take that challenge? It's awesome when you do. Trust me, I've been where some of you are, where I was sitting on the fence trying to decide, am I willing to shake it up a little bit, to be obedient to what God wants, to be a woman of God who thrives, or am I okay with the mediocre? And I'm not okay with mediocre. Our time is short for what we're going to have here on this earth. We've got to be bold. We've got to be strong. We've got to be unshakable and unstoppable as women of God. Are you in? Are you ready to get out of your comfort zone? Are you ready to reevaluate your priorities in the day? See, we don't need to say yes to everything. We need to say yes to those things that are important to God. One of the things I learned growing up is, as a kid, of course, we want to do everything. We want to be everywhere. But I learned growing up that I didn't need to be said yes to everything. And I know it's different in our world today. It seems like kids are told yes to everything. But the difference is if we're yes to everything in our world today, then we don't have the time for God. God needs to be first. You don't have to say yes to everything. Your children do not have to do everything. See, because mom, if you're a mom, your kids are going to follow your example. Are you moving forward with God, or is God an afterthought in your life? Are you comfortable? See, because if your kids don't see you growing, then they're not going to desire that. If our family, our spouses, don't see us growing, ladies, they're not going to desire it either. See, a leader leads by example. What example do you lead by? I have to ask myself that question a lot. If I'm going to be leading, what example do I set forward? And I know, some of you are saying, what does it matter what I do? They should be minding their own business. Well, yeah and no. Because a leader is supposed to be in the front to lead by example, to show the way. Not to bark orders, not to take control, but to show the way. What I know of a great leader, and I learned this from a pastor many years ago, is that even though he pastored the church, we'd find him on some days in there cleaning the toilets. And we asked him, Pastor, why are you doing that? That's not your place. And he says, my place is to lead by example. And I will do what I need to do in this body to lead by example. That was powerful. Because he had a whole maintenance team. But it's just that for that particular day, the team was running behind. So he led by example and just got it done. How are you leading by example? And again, are you comfortable? Are you comfortable in your walk so that you're not growing, you're not thriving, you're not moving forward? Are you so comfortable in your walk you've become complacent? You don't have the living water coming in on a regular basis anymore? Or are you the woman of God that is desiring more of what God has, and you're beautiful and thriving, unstoppable, unshakable? Now, it's not to say you're not beautiful being comfortable. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be hanging my head as a woman of God. I want to be leading by example. So what do you need to change in your life today that can impact you for the rest of your life? Where can you put God in as first? How can you adjust your priorities? Get uncomfortable, girls. Do things you're not used to doing. Are you afraid to go to the Bible study because you don't know any women? How is she supposed to get to know them? Are you uncomfortable at your church and not wanting to go because, again, you don't know anyone? Start going. You'll know people. Yeah, there are the cliques. I get that. We've got a couple. And no, they're not nice. However, there's other people there that just want to genuinely love on you and be there for you. What are you going to change and get out of your comfort zone? Stop being complacent and start investing in your future and the future of those around you. All right, I'm out of here, but it's time to choose, girls. Comfortable, unstoppable. Who are you, and what will you be today? All right, love you, girls. Bye.